Hello everyone, Jurassic Man here, and today we're going to be taking a review on the new Jurassic World Savage Strike Styracosaurus. Now the Styracosaurus was a bit teased back then, pretty early on, or not early, but late of 2018 when the leaked pictures of the upcoming Dino Rivals line was coming out. Before that, it had a brown coloration instead of this naval blue and colorful coloration it has now today. Personally, I like this one better because it looks much nicer than the dull brown or the dull colorations we've been getting for some of the dinosaurs, especially that it'll just look like a small spiked up Triceratops, basically. This is possibly the first Styracosaurus figure we ever got in the Jurassic line. Any other Triceratopsian figures we had was the already made Protoceratops from Mattel, as well as the Dino slash Pachyceratops. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The only other ones we could actually have would probably be the Chasmosaurus. And Styracosaurus was meant to be released for the 2009-2011 set for the Jurassic Park dinosaur line, originally called 2K9 set, but that didn't get released. Only the other Pachyceratops and the Allosaurus got released, while the other ones were never made, which included a Carnotaurus, Stegosaurus, and of course, like I mentioned, Styracosaurus. But okay, let's take a look on this figure. The packaging is the same as the Savage Strike dinosaurs, basic look of the Dino Rivals line, and on the back side, we get a nice dynamic picture of the Styracosaurus, along with the collectible cards, along with other figures in this line, which we already have, sort of. But yeah, that's basically all it that is pretty new to the packaging of the Styracosaurus, so let's get right into the figure. I gotta say one thing before I get this out. His legs are loose. Alright, let's get on to this review. So like I said before, the legs on the Styracosaurus are loose on mine. I don't know if it works for anyone else's, but for me, they are loose. The front legs are very smooth to move, so I gotta point that out first. But overall, I gotta say this is an amazing looking figure. The scaling and the details are a bit bland. Not bland, I mean they're kind of washed over than the previous picture we saw of the Styracosaurus that was shown in the conference. But this is still well detailed and still well designed. I gotta say one thing before I get into this. It is small. I mean, just small. Let's get Owen right here. Now, compare Owen with the Styracosaurus. It's so small. People might say, oh, this is the size of Styracosaurus. No. This is the size of Styracosaurus. And you can tell, it is still small. It just seems to have a problem with Mattel and their dinosaurs being, well, not the dinosaurs, but just their ceratopsians being too small. That's not the case with the Protoceratops. I think the Protoceratops is pretty unscaled with human figures, as it is. Protoceratops are basically sheep-sized animals. This guy was not a sheep-sized animal, it was a rhino-sized animal, and it is small. So yeah. So details are very nice, a little washed over, but it's still nice. Scaling on this is pretty inaccurate. The head ornaments, I gotta say, are really nice looking, as you can see. They keep the scaling on this. The paint job on mine has a very weird nose. Right here on the front, on this side. I mean, it's pretty unproblematic. I didn't see it on this side because, well, this is the side you see. There's smudges on this nose. I didn't see that. But there's red paint right here, probably from the frill. Yeah, that'll probably come out somehow, but yeah. A little bit of paint defects, but not too bad. So what about his action feature, the Savage Strike feature? Well, just like all the other Savage Strike dinosaurs, they have action feature that connects to the back of the tail. And basically, all you gotta do is just hold the animal down, and it rears his head up. So you can bash into Owen's groins and basically knock him down. And I gotta say, this is a pretty strong feature. Even if it's a pretty small dinosaur they used. Too small, I gotta say. It'll probably work well for another medium-sized ceratopsian, but not Styracosaurus. Styracosaurus is something that I would have personally have it as a Roarvor-sized dinosaur. In fact, it's probably would have been fit better as a Roarvor dinosaur than a Savage Strike or medium-range dinosaur. But then again, the Triceratops in this line is already a medium range, so yeah. The coloration on this is pretty nice, I gotta say. I like this like sort of naval blue grayish color with this nice white underbelly. The colors on the frill are just popping out in your face right here. Pretty accurate, as we know that certain ceratopsians may have had blood cells running through their frills, giving them nice coloration. A little inaccuracy is that they're very scaly and bumpy, which they would have been smooth like that of a nail. Speaking of nails, don't bother that. But yeah, it would have the keratin coloration just like its horns, which I gotta say are pretty good as well. Other than that paint blemish, these horns are very protruding and very detailed. Coloration is on the back is the same as the front of the skull, but just a duller color, as the front of the frill it's more colorful than that of the back side. There is a yellow indication, and I have a feeling that this might have been a button at one point that probably did the action feature, but just like the rest, they gone with the tail. With the tail being part of the action feature, the tail has no articulation whatsoever. However, the back legs do, as they spread out pretty far, and they're pretty inwards. Same with the front arms. They're a little tight on mine, but you can see that they do extend out pretty far. And like I said earlier, they're pretty loose. And because this guy's in a fixed pose, there's not really other poses you can kind of give it to. As basically the pose you would have it at all time. But not this one. You can kind of have it in a running cycle. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Overall, the Styracosaurus figure is pretty good. Still small in my opinion. That's something you gotta live with, I guess. So yeah. The collector's card for the Styracosaurus is pretty nice as well. The nice illustration that they have here is pretty on par with that of the figure. Compared to the other ones I've seen, this is pretty dull of an illustration for the Styracosaurus. But it's alright. 6 strengths, 3 speeds, 3 intelligence, and 5 damage. This is not a very strong dinosaur in this line. There's very little paint on the Styracosaurus itself compared to this one, as the difference of the colorations and patterns on it is a little different, but you know, they're not pretty accurate themselves. Nothing in the back as usual, and that's pretty much everything the collector card. So let's get right into comparisons. Here's a comparison of the Styracosaurus with the Roarvor's Triceratops. Again, I feel like this would have been the perfect size for the Styracosaurus. Maybe just retool both the Roarvor Sinoceratops and Triceratops. But as I noticed, none of the dinosaurs share the same mold except those of the same species. And even then, they are varied in differentiation, just as the Gallimimus. So every dinosaur is unique, so they wouldn't share much mold other than a retool of the existing dinosaur mold. So by that logic, we'll never get a big version of the Styracosaurus. This is the one we're going to have, everyone. Here's a comparison of the much bigger Sinoceratops, aka Pachyrhinosaurus. Both of these animals lived, I think, closely around the same time. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure the Styracosaurus would have been slightly around the same size of the Sinoceratops, aka Pachyrhinosaurus. So give or take, this is the best we got. And here's a comparison with the Styracosaurus with the Albertosaurus. I do not know if it is or if it's not that Albertosaurus did hunt Styracosaurus. If it did, that's pretty good. If it didn't, it would have been another Tyrannosaur. I'm probably thinking it's probably Gorgosaurus or one of those dinosaurs, one of those just Tyrannosaurs at the time. But yeah, a Tyrannosaurus would have hunted this guy, but come on, this is literally a sheep next to a bear in the basics. So what score would I give the Styracosaurus? Well, the Styracosaurus is a pretty nice sculpt. A little small for its size. It's pretty nice colorations, and the action feature is alright. Compared to the other ceratopsians in this line, This is pretty much at least 4 out of some of the Ceratopsians we'll get in this line, but so far, this is pretty good. All we're missing is a new ramped-up version of the Chasmosaurus, and maybe even more Ceratopsians down the line in the history. But for now, we got these 4. 2 from the Americas, 2 from Asia, although it would have been 3 from the Americas. But yeah, you get what you get. So, I would give this guy a 5 out of 5. Other than the size, it's a really nice toy, and I highly recommend getting it. I only see one in shelf every time I go to stores, so I gotta say it's pretty popular up there. Not too popular, but it's kind of sought after. This guy retails for a release around $9 to $10 in most stores. In the future, it'll probably be lower down to $7 or $6, but we won't know until then. So yeah. So I hope you guys liked this review. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next review.